I was born in Dual County, Nebraska, in a house, not in a hospital. That confuses the hell out of most doctors. They can't believe that they were delivering kids in their own house. That really throws people. You're supposed to be born in a hospital, in a corporation. I was a doctor 4 miles away in Colorado. Okay, that confuses them more.
So
They say, "Oh, you were born in Colorado?" I say, "No, Nebraska."
So did they ring up? Did your father or somebody ring up? Like, how many siblings were you? The oldest of the family, or
No, I was the youngest. There were 5 of us. Oldest brother, Basil, deceased. Lloyd, deceased. Gilbert, still alive. He's 3 years older than I am. And then my twin sister, Naoma. She's in Oklahoma. Well, I started driving when I was about 12. But we lived in Nebraska until I was 9. Then we moved to Colorado. And that must have been a harrowing experience for my parents, because they ran out of gas out in the boonies. So took my middle brothers, Gilbert and Lloyd. They sat on the front end of the bumper of the truck with their feet and pushed this Chevrolet we had at that time up a mountain pass, all the way up to the top of Rabbit Ears Pass, and then they coasted the car down the mountain. But I don't know why they did it that way. Didn't want to leave anything out there in the boonies because somebody might steal it. But people weren't that vindictive in those days. They wouldn't steal from you to help you. The Depression was on, I think. Well, no, not quite. See, that was 38. So they were right in the deep compression recession. That was a tough one because it was the weather was dry, and the dust was blowing. Once in a while, it would cloud up with dust. The wind would blow. Well, one of the things they did when they plowed their fields, they did them all east-west. Okay, so the west wind picked up the furrows and made dust out of it, and it would get so dark the chickens had to go to bed. A chicken has the smallest brain of any living thing, I think. Because as soon as it gets dark, they think the sun's down, so they go to bed, go to roost.
So
You might say we got blown out of Nebraska into the mountains in Colorado, but the dust was, you just can't believe it, how bad it was. They'd go it was a mile and a half to the schoolhouse. And we had a 4-wheel cart pulled by a horse called Dickie. But you since it's laid out in mile squares, the surveys, the roads are all mile squares. So it was 2 miles, one due west and then one due south to the school. But my sister and I'd walk direct to the school. So it was only like 1.4 miles, okay, to walk. You would walk the road And that was rattlesnake country. Saw the biggest rattlesnake I've ever seen in my life. It's about 4 inches in diameter. Not circumference, but diameter. And he was laying in a coil. You see a 9 or 10 foot rattlesnake. That's a big monster for a little kid. Scared the hell out of me. My sister was walking right towards it, and I'd say, I was so damn scared of it, I'd failed to warn her. And then finally she saw it. But then Dickie's a good story too. We had this 4-wheel cart, and we had a dust storm one time. So the teacher decided to close the school. And no telephone service. I don't know how. We had a man who was a teacher at that time, and I can't remember how he communicated. Anyway, we went to a neighbor's house, which is less than a mile from the. It was only about a quarter of a mile from the school. And then they came and picked us up, my father, and anyway, he had a hard hand. And so he took the 4-wheel cart and drove it back to the farmhouse. In the meantime, a tug came loose, and it started smacking Dickie. His tug hitting him on the butt, and flipping hit him, and he would start running faster. Just try it, because he thought he was being whipped to run. So he ran all the way that 2 miles all the way back to the barn, and right in the barn. But when he went in the barn, it was only a 2-wheel chariot with a hard hand. So he came around the corner, down through the yard, just like the old chariot riders, because you only had 2 wheels to stand on. So then we only went to school in a 2-wheel cart. Those days they would take old springs from old beat-up cars, like maybe a Model T, because in those days what they did is I had an uncle that bought 3 Model Ts and put 2 of them away in the barn. And he decided that his excuse was that they built 1 car, and the only car they ever built that was worth a damn. So he bought 3 of them, so he'd always have 1 good car. And I guess maybe that was he probably made it to see. He died. He was 93. So he bought those 3 cars, probably in his 20s, because that's all he thought he'd ever need.